Mhm.
And last time I was looking for a job, I applied to 300 jobs. I got
Wow.
47 interviews, 20 final rounds, 5 offers, but that means 295 out of the 300 applications were rejections, or in 165 of those cases, I got ghosted. I never heard back.
Wow. Those are some crazy numbers, but I mean, that's kind of where we are these days. You're finding.
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's worse now.
Mhm.
It's worse
Wow.
now because that was before ChatGPT existed. That was
Mhm.
before all these AI generated resumes existed. So here, you're not asking that person for a job at Goldman. That's not your intent. Your intent is to build the relationship, to have a conversation with someone at Goldman. So then you actually know somebody at Goldman. So if a job comes up down the road or you're interested in working at Goldman, you might have someone on the inside that can now advocate for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good advice for building your business too. I think people take those kinds of relationships almost for granted these days that, that's just, oh, it's another one more connection on my list or whatever. But
Just muted my phone and cool. I'm ready to go.
okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. And, thanks so much for taking the time to join us for another episode of Define Your Purpose. Purpose is the birthplace of ideas, and joining us today is a really brilliant career strategist out of Brooklyn, New York. And if you want to get a job faster and excel in your career faster, this guy has worked for all the huge companies and knows exactly how everything works in the corporate world by now, I guess. Thanks for joining us today, Alan Stein.
Thanks a lot, Carl, for having me. Really happy to be here.
Appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I like to ask people kind of what got them going in the space that they're in, or what sparked their interest when they first started. So,
Yeah. And you talk a lot about purpose. As I was, I stumbled across this idea, or this idea was actually a long time coming over the course of my career. So, a brief history on me is I've worked for 21 companies, held 29 jobs. I've worked for 38 bosses. I've been hired 29 times. I've been fired 5 times. I've promoted people. I've fired people. I've hired lots of people myself. I'm very knowledgeable about this space, and especially in all different sort of industries. I'm now on my seventh career, so I was going for a PhD in psychology.
wow.
I was working on Wall Street as an equity analyst. I worked as a venture capitalist. I worked in sports analytics, working for the New York Mets and the Toronto Blue Jays. I went back to business school and then became a marketer at American Express. Then I worked in big tech, working for Google, Facebook, Salesforce, along with some smaller tech companies like Datadog and Andela. And now I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm on my seventh career. And the common thread throughout all of that is I just have this interest, passion for careers. I happen to be good at it myself. The world happens to need some help with that as well, especially with the changing needs of work, and people will pay for it. So all of that came together. And I don't know if you've heard the term ikigai. It's a Japanese term that means like reason for living or purpose. When those came together, and it just came to me through time and midlife crisis and being at home during COVID, and it was after the George Floyd murder. All that stuff kind of germinated and said, I'm now on a mission to accelerate a million careers. And that was kind of the
Wow.
origin story of Kadima.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. So in doing all those things, and each time you were restarting your career, kind of, you thought you were on to the real thing that was going to be your your fulfillment.
Yeah, I did. And early on in my career, I thought there was something wrong with me. I actually went
Mm,
to a psychologist or a social worker. So after I got was on the verge of getting fired from venture capital, my
mm,
mom encouraged me to go to to a career coach, or but she sent me to a
mm,
social worker who was focused on careers. And I thought there was something wrong with me.
right.
Um, and I worked with Perry, good guy, and he helped give me some direction, and he helped me get to my next place, which was following my passion for baseball. And I worked for the Mets and the Toronto Blue Jays for a bit.
Mm,
But then later on, I realized that it's not so bad necessarily not to know what you want to do, as long as you're conscientiously thinking about what you want to do next and taking a
mm.
little bit of control and agency in achieving whatever purpose it is that you have.
Right. Right. So it sounds like setting goals was always important for you throughout all this.
100%. And the with our clients at Academic Careers, we have a methodology called the Growth Framework, and it stands for an acronym. And the G in growth stands for goals. If you don't
Mm.
know where you're going, any path will take you there.
Oh,
So we work with people, and it's been helpful for me to understand where the hell you want to go in order to like get there. You got to know where the end path is, the end goal is.
right. 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 Awesome. So, and what led to your methodology with your company and everything? Was that hard to get started? What was that like setting that all up?
It wasn't that hard. I
Mm,
hired Rocket Lawyer, or I paid for Rocket Lawyer or something like that. I was also
okay.
working full time at Salesforce, making north of a half a million a year. I'm not saying that to boast, but I
Mhm,
had some cushion.
mhm,
Um, and I started it as a side hustle.
mm,
And I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I was like, maybe this will develop into something that I do full time, or maybe I'll continue to work at Salesforce or in big tech.
mhm,
I didn't know exactly what was going to become of it when I started it on July 18th, 2020.
mm,
And it's gone through several iterations until where we are now. And I'm sure it's going to continue to change as we focus on our mission. And it's a mission driven company to accelerate a million careers. So what we're doing now is not going to get us to achieve that mission. So we need to develop more scalable
mm,
systems, processes, and tools to help more people quickly.
mhm. Right. Right. Yeah. Great. So, where do you find a lot of your client base these days?
Same way that you found me on
Okay.
this little
Fair enough.
social network
Mhm.
called LinkedIn, where 1
Yeah.
billion people happen to be,
Mhm.
and almost every ambitious professional is on. So that's where I find most of our clients. But I also do
Mhm.
lots of talks at business schools like Columbia Business School and MIT and NYU and Duke and other schools like that. And I also partner with organizations, whether it be like AnitaB.org or um, Blacks in Technology or other groups. So through those means, that's how people usually find out about me and
Okay.
about academia.
Right. Right. Awesome. So,
And and also our
mm,
customers
mhm,
are often share like good things. Our customers have a lot of good things to say about us too. So a
mm.
lot of our clients come through word of mouth referrals.
Okay. Awesome. So, there are other coaches working with you then in your group
Yeah,
then?
we
Okay.
have over 20 coaches.
Oh, awesome.
They they're all We're very selective with the coaches that we take into our program, and they focus on job acquisition. They're either
Mhm,
past hiring managers or past recruiters or both,
mm.
and they have deep subject matter expertise in certain areas that can help our clients get better jobs quickly, confidently, and with lots more money.
Nice. Awesome. So, do you, focus on resume or cover letter or, asking for promotion, speaking and skills and that sort of thing, or
Yeah. So we help people with their resume and their LinkedIn profile, and we
Mm,
get it into what we call objectively perfect. So no errors, no inaccuracies, nothing, no typos, and subjectively good enough. It's never going to be perfect. Cover letters we don't focus on at all. They don't get you a job. And what we do is we focus on the things that do get you a job. It's not your resume, it's not your LinkedIn. It is building relationships, it's having an effective method of
Mhm.
applying for the right roles at the right time at the right companies, and also not getting dissuaded when you will get rejected quite often.
Mhm.
It's not an easy task to get to. It's not an easy task to get a job.
Mhm.
And last time I was looking for a job, I applied to 300 jobs. I got
Wow.
47 interviews, 20 final rounds, 5 offers. But that means 295 out of the 300 applications were rejections, or in 165 of those cases, I got ghosted. I never heard back.
Wow. Those are some crazy numbers, but I mean, that's kind of where we are these days. You're finding.
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's worse now.
Mhm.
It's worse
Wow.
now because that was before ChatGPT existed. That was
Mm,
before all these AI generated resumes existed. So
mm.
the numbers are probably worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez. So you mentioned building relationships. You help your clients to reach out within their industry. Then.
We help them to first nurture what we call weak ties. It's not a term I
Mm,
said. Adam Grant talks about it. A lot of people
okay.
talk about it, like reconnecting with people
Mm,
that you haven't spoken to in a few years, maybe since like college or through a past job, and reconnecting with those weak ties, because those weak ties will likely provide some very strong insight and leads and ideas for you to follow, and perhaps opening for jobs. So, first you connect there, then you broaden your network, because as the adage goes, we're the average of the 5 people that we hang out with most. And
mhm,
if you've worked at some great companies, the people in your network might be great. Like I have a lot of like the company that I have more connections at than anyone else on LinkedIn is Google. And I think second most is Salesforce. And like American Express is up there. These are all good companies, and those people all go to good companies as well. If early on in my career, when I was working at Arnhold and S. Fleischroeder, I did not have a lot of good connections at good companies in my, like LinkedIn didn't exist back then. That was
mhm,
1995. But I
mhm,
would not have had a lot of people at Google or Facebook or Goldman Sachs even,
mhm,
to connect with.
mhm,
So you need to figure out ways that you can be proactive and bridge the gap of not knowing people, but then
mhm,
leverage commonalities that you do have with that individual. Like, say, maybe someone went to Binghamton University, where I went to school, and
mhm.
now they happen to work at Goldman Sachs. I can
Right.
reach out to someone and say, hey, Mr. So and so at Goldman Sachs, I see you went to school at Binghamton. Went to school at Binghamton. I did too. I love connecting with other Binghamton alum, and I'd love to connect with you here. You're not asking that person for a job at Goldman. That's not your intent. Your intent is to build the relationship, to have a conversation with someone at Goldman. So then you actually know somebody at Goldman. So if a job comes up down the road, or you're interested in working at Goldman, you might have someone on the inside that can now advocate for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good advice for building your business too. I think people take those kinds of relationships almost for granted these days. That that's just, oh, it's another one more connection on my list or whatever. But if you really think about the people behind it.
Relationships add so much. Not only are they enjoyable
Mhm.
often, sometimes you have annoying relationships who might not want to be with people, but most people I'm generally enjoying hanging out with. Like this is the first time you and I met, Carl. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying this conversation. Hopefully you are too.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of your listeners are as well. But
Right.
this is how like relationships are built. And I think you reached out to me on LinkedIn. Maybe I reached out to you. I forget. I think you reached out to me. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but we were strangers a month or two ago, and now all of a sudden we're having a podcast. And now if I'm ever up in Springfield, Massachusetts, or you're ever down in Brooklyn, maybe we'll grab a beer or a bagel or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That'd be great. Absolutely. It's it's that's a great thing about meeting people online too, I guess, that if you really just take the time to have a good conversation.
I met my wife online long time ago, but it
Right.
was not as a dating website. And yeah, like I was an early adopter back then in 2001, but like now they're apps. Before it was a website.
Hmm.
I'm pretty
Hmm.
old.
Right. So, when you first started building your company, maybe you could talk a little bit more about how you were able to expand as fast as you have.
Yeah, so it's not as fast. Like it seems fast looking back. It's felt painfully slow going through it. So I shut the business down once in late 2020 because like I was getting depressed, like, and I also felt it was too much on my plate between that and Salesforce. So I shut it down for a few months,
Mm.
and before I restarted it. So it hasn't been as fast, and I've made lots of mistakes along the way. I thought I launched a digital course. I thought the digital course would sell like hotcakes. People don't like digital courses. They watched a lot of digital courses during COVID, and the
Mhm.
digital courses were really hot during COVID, and that's when I started creating my course during COVID, the lockdown. But now people don't want to watch like 10 hours of video footage where I break down step by step
Mm.
of how to set your goals, like everything that we coach people on. People don't want to watch that. They would rather meet with a human being for 10 hours than
Mhm.
watch it
Right.
on video for, and it's not even 10 hours. You can break it down into like much smaller areas.
Mm.
But I've made lots
Mm.
of mistakes. I actually recently got audited for my taxes in 2021 by New York State, and they couldn't believe that I spent $121,000 on the business, and I
Mm.
got like $30,000 of revenue that year or $50,000 of revenue that year, and
Mm.
so they audited me. I went back over the stuff. I was like, no, this is all shit that I spent money on, and it was pretty stupid stuff
Mm.
looking back on it. But
Ouch.
so it's not as fast as you think. But
Mhm.
what has allowed us to double or triple our revenue every year, um, and to significantly grow the impact we're having, is the fact that we have that long term goal and we
Mm.
continue to launch and iterate. That was a term that I learned about first at Google. That like just get out there, test, find out what's working, launch and iterate. So we've
Mm.
done that with a lot of different things. Our programs have evolved. Our coaching model has evolved. We've sunset some things that have not been working well, and we started a community, which I thought would not be, I thought it'd be okay, but the community has been immensely valuable, which makes sense in
Mm.
hindsight. That people that are looking for a job, it's a lonely situation. And even though for me, I never needed that sense of community when I was well, actually, I rarely needed that sense of community. Sometimes I did. Um, but a lot of people do appreciate that community. And that's been a big
Mm.
value
Yeah.
that we've created over the last 6 to 12 months.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I kind of feel like I have to mention now I'm starting a community for coaches and helping coaches with their marketing. So I'm just starting up and having I have my first group of 5, and we're going to have a meeting this month. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome, Carl. I've worked with
Thanks.
lots of different marketing folks. So if you deliver results for them, that will be the best thing that you can do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I got a pretty good plan. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
Help some people get started on LinkedIn a little bit better with some stronger outreach and better content. So that's
What are some
exciting.
of the tactics that you suggest people do to like? Is it outbound or is it inbound? What do you what's your focus on LinkedIn?
I think it's important to get your profile set up well before you do the outbound because of course everybody says who's this guy looks right away, and if they don't see what your business is about or how to book a call with you, then you kind of did the outreach for nothing. So I think it's really important to have it set up to make it easy to see what your business does, who it helps, and to book a call and make it easy to see any referrals you might have and um, recommendations. I mean, and I think to have a daily or weekly content schedule is important too, to make sure that you're really consistent with that, because that consistency is what makes a difference over the long term when you're just putting it up, rather, just because it's on the calendar. That's the most important thing, is just to make sure that you're always putting it up no matter what. And that's how you, I think, really over the long term can drive results and consistency in your business.
Yep. Consistency is important.
Yeah. So, and then, with your outbound messaging, I think there's a lot of rules about the length and that sort of thing. So it's important to look at how you're um, making people feel in the messaging when you first connect with them. How you're coming, you're just, keep in mind you're coming at them. And so what are you coming at them with, right? Is it, how is it making them feel? And so I think it's important to take a little time and really craft something that is going to make people comfortable and curious, and not feel assaulted.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you can think about what and the same with email, you can think about kind of what emails you notice and open, and um, you can use that to kind of craft your own best messages. But it does help to work with a marketing company, because they've tried, split tested all these things for other people, and already know a lot of what works and what doesn't. So that can be helpful too.
Yeah,
And save yourself some time by just spending a little bit with a marketing company to see what works and what doesn't.
true.
So those are the things I've found to be most helpful for LinkedIn.
Right. Cool. What else would your audience like to know about?
Oh, well, I wonder what is your process like? If someone wants to get started with you, and they're looking to expand their career or move on to something bigger, what's it like when they first contact you, and what do they go through for the duration?
Yeah, usually the way that people first find out about us is coming to one of our webinars. We do them on a monthly basis, and
Oh, nice.
on my LinkedIn profile, you can see
Okay.
about my next webinar. And so we always give um, like share a lot of our strategies in those webinars, and then we share a little bit more about how we help people. So the way we help people are through group coaching. We have a group coaching program and a personalized coaching program. The personalized coaching program is more popular because people do like working with a coach, a human being. And those that personalized coaching program, we work with people to help identify their goals, realistically assess their strengths, and leverage those strengths appropriately, including with their LinkedIn profile and their resume. We help them leverage their existing network, but also learn the skills to build their new network through effective outreach. We help them work the system. And what we mean by working the system is there's a way to get jobs. You can either apply cold, you can get recruited, or you can get referred. We focus on the referral part. That's the most effective, but we also support the other two, and we help people be optimal in all of those areas so that they're working the system for maximum opportunity to land interviews. Then, when it comes to the interviews, we work with them on training and tenacity. So, we train them how to beat the recruiter screen, how to pass the hiring manager screen, how to pass the final rounds of the interviews, often called the loops or the panel or the on sites. Then, we help them negotiate their offer. So we do all that, and we also work with our personalized coaching clients for between 90 days and their first year of working at their new company, because it's often hard when you get into that new company, that new organization. You're drinking the water through the fire hose, and it's very challenging for you. You don't have that support system. So we're there to support them in that first year. So that's our most
Nice.
popular program,
Mm,
our personalized coaching program. Our group coaching program are for individuals that don't need as much dedicated help and can do things with some guidance and support of our community and the group. So those are the two different options we have.
nice, awesome. So it's their year long engagements then.
Our group coaching is 6 months.
Okay.
It's a 6 month program, and people can extend it beyond there if they want to. Our
Okay.
personalized coaching, we guarantee a better job. We work with that client until
Nice.
they get a better job, however long it takes. Right now, the median
Awesome.
is 3.25 months, but it can take up to like 12 months. It could take up to 18 months. We work with you to get the job as quickly and as effectively. There are some actions that people can take that can expedite it. There's some actions that
Mm,
people can not take that will elongate it. So we work with them, we coach them, and we're also incentivized to help them get that job quickly, because we work with them as long as it takes. So it's in our best interest, it's in our client's best interest to get that better job as quickly as possible.
mm, right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Awesome. So you were mentioning a little bit to me earlier about the sheer numbers of applications that you have to send out these days to just to play the percentages to be able to get the interviews and then to be able to get the final offers. Um, do you have any recommendations of people looking to really stand out in throughout these processes to um, is can you just show up on time and you're better than half the candidates, or what have you seen that's a good trick?
Best way is to build those relationships, earn
Mm,
referrals, and ideally earn advocates within the walls
okay.
of the organizations
Mm,
where you want to work at. That's
okay.
the best way.
Okay. Right.
And it's possible whether you have those connections now or if
Mhm.
you don't, there are ways that you can build them.
Mm, right.
It's not easy, but
Yeah.
going to the gym is not easy either. And
Right.
everybody can get a six pack. I don't have one.
Yeah.
It is attainable if I put in the work.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, it seems like that's what gets your resume put on the top of the pile though, and invariably, right, is when you have that contact inside the company and you know someone that is already up there.
That, or you went to Stanford, or you worked at Google, or
Right.
you went to
Mhm.
Princeton, or you worked at Goldman Sachs.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
if you have those names,
mhm,
that can also help you get in the door. Not everyone has those names. And even with those names, honestly, like I had those names on my resume, it was
mhm.
a hell of a lot more effective to get my resume seen when I earned a referral. And 24 out of my 29 jobs I've had in my career
Wow.
have originated because someone put in a kind word on my behalf. That's what led someone to
Nice.
actually look at me. There were
Mm,
only 5 times when I submitted a resume cold that I took the job.
mm. That's great advice. So, if someone wants to get a hold of you and work with you, is the best place to find you just on LinkedIn, or you guys have a website now?
Yeah, best way is LinkedIn. I'm Alan Stein.
Mhm.
You can look me up under Kadima Careers or Google or Facebook or Salesforce. Any of those companies, you'll find me.
Okay. Mhm.
AlanStein. And our website also, kadimacareers.com. There we have all our information, including we give away free resume templates. We give away the list of the top 100 companies that will accelerate your career. We give away negotiation, like lots of free negotiation advice there too. So check out our website, and we also have monthly events. So come to one of our monthly webinars, or sometimes they're webinars, sometimes they're workshops where it's actually interactive, but
Okay.
they're free, and you'll definitely leave with lots of value.
Awesome. That sounds great. So, what's your plan for the coming year? How are you guys going to expand, or is that your plan, or?
Yeah, we're looking to expand. We are a business. We're here to accelerate careers. And as
Mhm.
Eric Schmidt said at Google, revenue solves all known problems. I think he over exaggerated. I don't know if it solves all problems,
Mm,
but at this stage of at our business size, revenue does solve that. So we're putting together our
mm,
2025 business plan now, actually. We're looking to triple our revenue, not by raising prices, but rather by scaling our support, providing better service more efficiently and effectively for our clients. So
nice.
we're
Yeah.
looking to continue to delight our customers. All of our programs come with a 30-day money back guarantee. So if we're not delighting our customers, we won't get to our tripling our revenue goal.
Right. Sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Well, is there anything maybe that you wanted to get to today that we didn't get a chance to talk about yet?
The only other thing is we also have a great podcast. It's called the Steer Your Career
Oh,
Podcast. So for your podcast listeners, if they want to listen to another good podcast,
yeah.
ours is more about careers and taking ownership of your career. Good interviews with lots of people that have navigated lots of challenges along the way.
Okay.
And then yeah, always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. My DMs are open, and I respond to all of them, and I'm trying to figure out how to monitor that because the volume has gotten quite large. So we're working on figuring out how to scale that process.
Right. Good problem to have.
Yeah.
Very cool. Great. Well, thanks so much. Thanks again for taking the time today, Alan. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Um,
Carl. I enjoyed the conversation.
yeah, I like to say uh, when you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny. So,
Oh, that's pretty neat. I like that.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Bye, Carl.
Thank you. Bye.